Hello manga enthusiast, thank you for joining me. Today's video is quite long overdue. Probably should have been one of my first videos that I did, but I kept putting it off. So in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you my top 10 manga series at the moment. I say at the moment because the main reason I kept putting it off was I feel like my favourite manga series changes so often that I sort of defined the list about a week ago, and I'm looking at it now going, I might change one or two, but no, I'm not going to make it more confusing and hard for myself. I'm sticking with the list. They're all bangers anyway. I love them all, but there's so many choices. Just before we get into my top 10 favourite manga series, don't forget to give this video a like, comment and subscribe. It means a lot. Also check out my social medias linked down below. So for my top 10, the way I'm going to share it is we're going to start from number 10 and work our way upwards. So number 10 on the list, if you've not seen any of my other videos, this might surprise you. If you have, yeah. So number 10 is Saviour's Book Cafe in Another World. Now, I just want to preface that there is a good chance that this series could bump up from number 10, but because I've only read volume 1, I don't really want to put it too high just yet, because I've often been burnt by series where volume 1, the premise has been really neat, I've loved it, it's like, oh, this is new, and then I get to volume 2 and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, great. So that's the reason that this is number 10 and could potentially move up. This is an isekai. There will be a few of those on the list. Again, big isekai fan if you've not seen any of my other videos. So in this isekai, it is it's a bit different to a lot of the mainstream isekais, where our main character is a 30-something-year-old woman, and she has been asked by God, I think, or a glowing orb to be transported to another world, be given a whole bunch of OP powers, and kind of just try and bring some order to the world. And she's like, okay, I have some demands. And then yeah, sure, that's fine. The things that I loved about it was she is transported to this other world, and the first thing she does is she sets up a book cafe, and there's just lots of books. The aesthetic is beautiful. It's set in a snowy kingdom. It's like, yes. I also read this 2 days before Christmas, and the vibes resonated with me so much, and I just got so pulled in. So far, the only customer she's really had is this guy, who is a knight, I think, for the kingdom that she now lives in another world. And yeah, sparks are flying. It's getting nice. It's getting nice. And yes, I would definitely recommend this series to anyone who's a bit wary about isekais, because you've seen the mainstream ones, you've seen the harems and the booby girls, and you're like, that's not for me. Well, this might be for you. If you like series like Sweat and Soap, Perfect World, Sign of Affection, Josei series, basically, this might be for you. Definitely give it a go. I haven't seen anyone not like it, and honestly, it just makes me so happy to see so many people who aren't really into isekai enjoy this. It's not all isekai is gross harems, just most of them. Number 8. Number 8? Not number 8, I can't even count. We're on 2 in and I've lost count. Oh no. Number 9 on the list is Dr. Stone. I really enjoy Dr. Stone, and I'm a little surprised at the division there is on the series and the community. Now, those who might not aware / don't care, it's story time whether or not you want it. I only kind of joined the manga community summer of 2020, when I was bored in lockdown, what do I do? And I was like, well, let's see what Instagram's about. So before that, I was collecting manga, and in my head, I knew other people collected manga, I just had never seen them. As far as I was concerned, I was the only one. And so there was a lot of series that I read and collected before I knew there were other people who read and collected manga, and Dr. Stone was one of them. And I got really into Dr. Stone, I think, 2019, and I was I caught up to date really quickly, and I've just loved it ever since. And I just don't understand why people don't enjoy it. Maybe there's not enough fighting? I don't know. So Dr. Stone is a shonen published by Viz Media. In the UK, there are currently 19 volumes out as of right now, which I think March 2022. 20, I think, is out. It might just come out. When I last went shopping, it wasn't out, which was like a week ago. But basic premise is everyone's turned to stone, and thousands of years later, our main character, Senku, has managed to break free of the stone. And it is pretty much him trying to rebuild humanity, trying to break other free people out of the stone and figure out what happened, what caused them all to turn to stone. And I really am big on sciencey things, just like, oh yes. I mean, I did a science degree, so I like science. And I'm not even completely bothered that I don't think all the science is necessarily completely correct. You know, I don't actually know. I'd be surprised though, just with this sort of thing, but I don't really care because I feel like might be a less fun story if you try to make it completely accurate, but it's still really fun and it's really neat, and it's neat seeing them try and build these, what we consider like modern day items, gadgets, things, using just like stuff found, raw materials. It's just, oh, it's so interesting and fun. Oh, I love it. And the series is complete. It's finished really recently and there aren't many volumes left. I'm a little baffled because it didn't feel at the point that I am in the volumes like it was going to finish that quickly, but I don't mind too much because I've seen a lot of people go, actually it's fine. I'm like, okay, cool. There is also a spin-off manga called Dr. Stone Byakuya. Yeah, picture here. I think it's probably one of my favourite manga volumes ever. I nearly picked that one on its own, but I was like, no, that kind of falls under Dr. Stone, so I want to pick Dr. Stone as a whole with this one. This one doesn't make any sense unless you've read Dr. Stone, but I really enjoyed this, and I really enjoy this as well, and I would definitely give it a go. It is quite long-ish, so Shonen Jump app might be the way to go if you're unsure to begin with. What's this? Is it an isekai? Coming in at number 8, we have That Time I Reincarnated as a Slime. So this was like, I think this was the first isekai series that I actively started to pick up because it was an isekai, and I was really tempted at first because of just how thick they are. I felt like I was getting my bang for my buck with this series. I have been collecting this for, I think I watched part of the anime at university, and then I was like, I'm gonna buy the manga now. This has definitely remained a solid isekai throughout. I really like isekai where they grow and they gain skills and forms and stuff, and because it's just so video gamey, and like part of the power of Rimuru, the main character, the slime, is they can like absorb other creatures and like gain their abilities, and just I love it so much. And there's been quite a few isekais that have kind of nicked the well, I don't know if it was nicked, but it's got the similar sort of premise, like Remonster has a similar sort of thing, and I definitely feel like this one does it best of the lot. I also feel like it's a series where it has just improved over time. It's gotten better and better. Like my favourite arc is like the arc just before, I think it's in season 2 of the anime? I'm not sure, there's like a war arc, and that just, oh my gosh, that was so good! Basic premise of the story is a guy gets stabbed in Japan and is reincarnated as a slime, and he sort of is ambling around, and he's given these like godlike powers, like video game powers, skills, that's the word, and he's, yeah, just trying to get around for a while. Eventually he runs into this group of goblins and he kind of protects them, I think, and saves them from some bigger monsters, and they kind of like, cool, we're gonna worship you now, and he's like, what? What? And after that he kind of uses his previous life knowledge and experience to try and build up the goblin village, so like building more solid houses, building contraptions and equipment from previous life. And I really enjoy watching the town to city sort of build up over time, and I love that sort of thing so much. Like every volume we see there's like new things being added. I do feel like the series as it goes on though does keep getting better. It also does get a bit more darker if that sort of thing might bother you, so just be aware. I think you can read this digitally on the Kodansha app. There is also the anime to give it a go if you're interested. There are 18 volumes I think currently published in English by Kodansha, and I'm fairly sure the anime goes like almost, if not a bit past that, so you could probably get all the content from that if you're interested. It is also based on a light novel, and I have some of the light novels but I've not read them yet because they're technically one of my partner's and he wants to read those first. But I am kind of interested to read those. I think the light novel's still ongoing as well, so who knows how long this is going to go on for. Number 6 on the list is Granblue Dreaming. Granblue Dreaming was recommended to me by a friend who was like, oh yeah, it's a sports manga. And I was like, oh, I've not really read any sports manga. That would be interesting to try a sports manga. And then he kept going, yes, it's a sports manga. And I'm like, why do you keep clarifying it's a sports manga? Turns out I was taking the piss. And yeah, I suppose in a slight way it's a sports manga in regards to the diving, but also, no. This is definitely a manga that makes me laugh. Almost every volume like actually makes me laugh out loud. Maybe it just says something about my level of humor, because all the humor in this is super dumb. It is like teenage boy sort of silly dumb joke kind of dumb. Like there's a whole bunch about they all keep getting naked. We never see anything. There's lots of nicely placed plant pots or black circles or knees, so you don't see anything, but they have like a weird habit of they start drinking and then like lose all their clothes, and it's like a running joke and it is really funny. And that's the sort of humor I enjoy. There isn't too much like actual story to it. I suppose the main sort of like setup is our like main character has gone to stay with I think his uncle who runs a dive shop because it's near the university that he's wanting to attend, university, college, whatever, and so he goes to stay with him while he attends university, and it's kind of just his life and the characters' life around him as he attends university. That's about it. They go diving sometimes. That's probably the only serious bits, really. There isn't actually that much more to say except that the humor's great in my opinion, but I understand the humor is not for everyone. I've seen a lot of people being like, the humor's really dumb, and it's like, yeah, yes, it is. Isn't it great? There are currently 15 volumes out in English in the UK, printed by Kodansha. There was a chapter in volume 15 that like I laughed so hard I cried and I had to take a breather before I returned. The whole chapter with the chestnuts, I don't know why it got to me so bad, but it broke me. Number 6 is Witch Hat Atelier. Atelier? This one. This series is gorgeous. I'm not sure I can name a more beautiful series in my collection. And you know what? I feel like even if the story was shite, which is not, it's banging, I would still read it just for the artwork. I am obsessed with the way the artist frames their panels. You don't see, maybe the only other one I can think of that slightly does it is Toilet Bound Hanukkah, but I feel like the level that Witch Hat Atelier goes to is just, I prefer it so much more. Not to say that Toilet Bound Hanukkah is bad, I do enjoy it still, but this one is just, ooh. Yeah, the story's really good as well. It follows a young girl called Coco who has accidentally stumbled upon the secrets behind being a witch and is sort of taken into the fold to be trained to be a witch, even though she wasn't born into witchy families, which is completely unheard of. I think illegal or banned or imprisonable or something in the world of witches, and so it's kept as a secret. But because she stumbled upon the secret, it's decided that instead of keeping her in the dark and like banishing her or wiping her memories, they're going to train her up so she can use it. So she's been taken into the care of like a trained witch wizard called, what's his name? It's like Quifrey? I don't know. It's the guy on the back, him. And he also has 3 other apprentices. I think there are 4 of them, aren't there? Why am I so unsure of myself? There are 4 of them. And it's just sort of them learning about becoming full-fledged witches. There is also this like dark, broody set of witches that are being bad and doing magic that's really bad and banned, and they want something, they want Coco for some reason, and we don't know why. I think the art's beautiful, I think the story's beautiful. Volume, I think 6 made me cry. I'm too emotional as it is, but it was just such a sweet moment, and just the build up to it, it was just, oh, it tugged at all my heartstrings. Number 5 on the list is Undead Unluck. Now, I think I'd even surprised myself a little at putting this series on the list, because for the first like 2-ish volumes I read, I was like, I quite enjoy this, it's quite fun. And then it got to volume 3, and like I just became obsessed with it. I was like checking daily the release dates on the next volumes, and then they kept getting pushed back, and I was like, oh, stop it! And then I pretty much got volume 4, and then 2 weeks later I got volume 5, and I think it's only like, from the point I got volume 5, I think it's going to be about a month till volume 6 comes out. I think it comes out in about 2-3 weeks from now. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. The only problem with this series is I'm not very good at describing it. I have tried to do it a few times now, and none of them have been very good. I even tried to write some notes, and I just got angry and closed the notepad file without saving it, which was dumb. In the world of Undead Unluck, we have people that are known as negators, and a negator is someone who has an ability that sort of negates something in some way based on some rules. So the 2 main characters in the series are on the cover. I can't remember their actual names. Andy and Fuko. So this is Andy, and his negator ability is undead, which means that he can't die. He like negates death is sort of how it works. And then Fuko is unluck, where if she touches someone, they experience bad luck, and depending on how long she's touched them, how much she's touched them, and how like volatile her emotions are at that point, changes like how big of an impact of bad luck the person gets. So like if she brushes against, it has to be bare skin by the way, like if she's clothed and they're clothed, it's fine, but like if she brushes against someone in the street, they might like, maybe they'll trip up or their shoe will come untied. But like if she like properly like decks someone or kisses someone, then there's like a chance of a meteor strike has happened, and it's just so strange, the abilities, and It's quite quickly into the series, the pair of them join a association of negators who are tasked with completing these like trials to prevent bad things happening to Earth. It sounds so strange. There's this like book called Apocalypse, and it sets these trials, and if they complete them they're rewarded, and if they don't complete them something bad happens. And that's kind of like the premise of the story to begin with. So there are other negators with other abilities, and I love all the characters are great. I really like the art style, and I love the story. Like the story's like kept me going. I've not gotten bored yet. I'm only 5 volumes in. Last time I checked, there was quite a few more chapters on the Shonen Jump app than there were published in English. I think up to like 9 or 10, but last time I looked was like 3-4 months ago, so I imagine that's gone up by now. If you're interested in a fun shonen, I would definitely recommend giving this one a shout. I don't see it talked about too much, but I also wonder if that's just because it's quite a young series in terms of shonen. At number 4, what's this? More isekai. So very, very, very silly. I avoided picking this series up because I don't like spiders. And do I regret it? Yeah, I do regret not going into it sooner, but also I don't, because it meant that I had a bunch of volumes to read when I eventually picked it up. So this series pretty much encapsulates everything I like about isekai. It's got the video game-like stuff, it's got skills, there's levels, there's experience points. Also an isekai where there's no harem, and the main character is a woman, a girl, but isn't aggressively busty because they're a spider. So our main character was chilling in the classroom at school when suddenly it seems like the whole class disappeared or got isekai'd, we think, we're not sure, we don't know. And our main character wakes up in the body of a spider, and they are surrounded by like hundreds or thousands of other spiders just like them, and they can see, I think the mum, who but it's just birthed them all, and the mum starts eating some of them, and our main character's like, nope, and then just gets out of there and is like, once they're safe, like, okay, let's figure out what's happened. And then like they bring up, they've got stats, they can see like all these skills they can use. They start using these skills to try and figure out what's going on, and like they can like use skill points to go down different trees, and then when they get enough experience points they can like evolve, and they can choose the evolution paths, and they're like, well, I want to get here, so I need to follow this path. Oh yeah, this is pretty much what I love most about isekai, in like encapsulated in one series. And it's another one, if you're less bothered about the video game parts of an isekai, this probably isn't for you, though potentially it's like, give it a go. But if what puts you off is harems and you still want like the fighty stuff, then this is definitely something to try. There's a lot of action, there's always a lot of like cliffhangers, and it's very annoying, and I'm very annoyed I'm caught up because the releases are kind of slow. There is a spin-off release now called The Daily Lives of the Komoko Sisters. I wouldn't recommend reading it until you're like at least 7-8 volumes into the manga, because it won't make any sense. That is something I'd wish that series with spin-offs would do, where they'd like tell you how far into the series you need to be for it to make sense. Because I bought some that time I reincarnated as a slime spin-offs, and I started to read it and I was like, who are these people? And then I looked it up and it's like, oh yes, it takes place after like arc 7 or something, and I'm like, okay, the manga's on arc 4? I guess I'll leave this for now then. We get a whole bunch of points, like when the main character levels up, we get like a big thing appears across the panel, so you can see, oh, like, this is leveled up to level 2, and then but the main character can also see it and like, oh yes, great, finally. I've been wanting that to level up. Number 3 of my top manga series is A Witch's Printing Office. This is another isekai. Yes, like isekai. How many isekais are so far? Quite a few. This is such a different kind of isekai to pretty much all the others I read. It's almost like a slice of life isekai. So there isn't any harem. There are some busty ladies, but there's like, they're just busty. It's not like there's any gross stuff that happens with them or anything. And our main character is this girl. I think her name's Mika. Yeah. And so one day she was on her way home from Comiket. If you know Comiket, it's a big like fan event in Japan. She's on her way home from that, and suddenly she is isekai'd into another world, and she's like, what? I realise if I say anything else it's gonna spoil like volume 1, so if you're worried about volume 1 spoilers, jump on to the next series, because I can't really, I spoil everything if I want to say anything about the volume. If you want to go in blind, which I did and I think it made it better, then jump ahead. Anyway, now that they're gone, so the story starts with her. She's already been isekai'd, she's in this little town, it's dark, it's grim, it's raining, it's thundery. The town is being flooded with undead monsters and golems, the townsfolk are terrified, there's a whole bunch of knights trying to fend them off, and she's just trying to stay at the inn for the night because she needs to make her way out to an island off the coast of where this town is the next day, and it seems that all the undead are headed that way as well. It's very strange. And there's a whole bunch of like scary moments where she nearly gets trampled by, I think, a golem or something. And then the next day she wakes up, we head over to the island, and like it's gotten strange. There's a whole bunch of wizards, there's queues, and it turns out she has decided to set up her own version of Comiket called Magiket. Do you get it? And all these wizards had been sending their like undead, or what is the word, like summons, to go and like stand in line for them so they could queue jump. And all these knights are there like, if you try to queue jump, we've just killed your summon, and all these wizards are getting told off, and it's great. It's like completely caught me by surprise. I was like, oh, that's funny. So yeah, our main character's decided to like run her own version of Comiket specifically for magic, because in her head she figures if she's going to try and find a form of magic that can take her home, what better way than trying to bring all the magic that she can into one place. Also, like, trying to run a business, make some money, live a life, that sort of thing. The whole series is really light-hearted, it's silly, it makes me giggle a whole bunch, it's just daft. the whole way through, and it's her trying to find a way home, but also just kind of having fun where she is. She's made friends, and we get more backstory about like the people who work at the printing office, how they ended up working at the printing office, how they met the main character Mika. Also, the art style is gorgeous. It is such beautiful. I really like art styles that like use solid black lines, and this makes use of that a lot. Definitely recommend. There is only 5 volumes out at the moment, printed by Yan Press. They are a bit pricey. I think My Forbidden Planet puts them at $13.99, so I usually try and buy them online for like cheaper than £9, cheaper than £8 if I can. A couple of mine are second-hand actually, so that might be something to try if you're interested. Number 2 on the list, you might not have heard of this series. It's quite obscure, and that is One Piece. One Piece is one of the oldest series in my collection. I get asked a lot, like, how can you collect a series that's 98, 99 volumes long? And I'm like, there weren't that many volumes when I started. I've been collecting for a while. I don't know why, it just never seems to click in people's heads that, like, I didn't buy these like last night or anything. They've been accumulating for 12 years now. Actually, quick story time about One Piece. So I actually started picking up One Piece because I was in my GCSEs, which is like 15, 16 years. I don't know what years that is in other countries outside the UK. And in my town, there was a shop that sold all books for £2 each. Yeah, that's correct, £2 each. And they had a full shelf of manga. Now, it was never manga in order, it was the most random volumes ever. So the first volume of One Piece I ever read was volume 24, which is, I think, like the first volume in the Skypiea arc. Yeah. And then I pretty much was just, I would go in daily, pretty much, and buy One Piece volumes if they had new ones. So I think I read, like, at first the only ones I had was 24, 30, 38, 56. For about 3 months, they were the only One Piece volumes I had, and I would like read them on repeat, even though it was out of order. And I just remember like new people would appear, and I'd be like, who's this? It doesn't matter. I'm still having a good time reading this. Pretty much by the time I finished my A-levels, which is after GCSEs, I had managed to pick up about 45 volumes from this £2 a book shop. And I'd received a bunch of One Piece volumes as Christmas presents. I think the first like 4 of these I got as Christmas presents and birthday presents, and then I picked up mostly the gaps that hadn't appeared in the store from Forbidden Planet as part of 3 for 2s. And I caught up to One Piece at volume 63, and I remember very vividly it was in London that I picked up that last volume, and I was with a friend who doesn't understand manga but came along with me because she's a darling. Unfortunately, the store that sold £2 books closed during my A-levels. In hindsight, I should have just like milked the store dry. They had a lot of Tokyo Pop if I remember correctly, but I also just remember I can't remember much other than they had One Piece. I did pick up some like other random volumes from them, so like I picked up some Chobits from there, some My Tagami Baki, some like I think School Rumble I came from there as well. But never mind. I still managed to pick up most of my One Piece because of it, and I'm very grateful. A lot of them are brand new. Like my One Piece, a lot of them were like plastic wrapped because they had stickers inside. It's crazy. It's crazy. Also, this place only took cash, so I'd often like have a stack of manga and like go over to the counter, and I was like, "Can you hold this while I run across the road and get some cash out?" And she was like, "Yes." As I said earlier in the video, I pretty much was isolated in my manga reading and collecting until I met a couple of people who'd watched some anime at university, and then it was more once I joined the manga community that I understood how big it was. I figured that One Piece was popular because of how long it had been going on for, but beyond that, I didn't know anyone else who read it or watched it at all. And I don't know what there is to say about One Piece that hasn't been said before. It's wonderfully fun, the fights are great. Who doesn't love Zoro? It is finally time for my #1 manga series, as of right now, TM. If you've seen other videos of mine, you probably would be able to guess what it is, but my favourite series of all time manga collection is Komi Can't Communicate. I remember picking up volume 1 of Komi from the Travelling Man in Manchester, like I think volume 2 had just come out, so it's 2018, 2019, a while. One of the main reasons I enjoy Komi so much is I've always had problems communicating and talking to people. Like during my GCSE years, I would often go days without saying anything. Like I remember one time I was so quiet that I was in my French room, like I'd borrowed a book or something, so I was putting it away on the shelf, and the French teacher like completely forgot I was there, turned the lights off, left and locked the door, and like I was just there like, is this now the time to say something? I really did struggle like talking, just like saying things aloud, and reading Komi has like, it's just warmed my heart to see someone kind of going through a similar sort of thing but improving themselves as they do it. Like all she wants to do is make friends, and almost everyone in the series is super lovely. There's one character that we don't talk about because they're weird and creepy, but almost everyone is lovely and cute. I love all the side characters apart from one because she's weird and creepy, and I honestly just want the best for all of them. Every volume is just so lovely to read, and it just like makes me warm and happy on the inside. There's been a big surge in popularity because of the anime recently, which has been quite nice to see, and seeing lots of people also be like, Komi! A lot of people do seem to be put off by the fact it's a 4-coma-esque sort of manga, and that's fair enough. If you really struggle to get over that sort of thing, this probably isn't for you. But I still enjoy it. I'm fine with 4-coma anyway. But it makes me happy, and I find it relatable. And I just want them all to be friends and have a good life. There we have my top 10 manga series as of right now. Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. Any of these your favourite series? Some of them you're like, why? But I stand by all of these. Even if they weren't in my top 10, they're definitely series that I would recommend people to read. I have recommended pretty much all of these, I think, to at least one person, if not many people. In fact, I actually recommended Witch at Atelier to a friend, and I remember it was like, we talked at like 5 PM, and then we talked again the next day at 9, and he was like, yep, I'm up to date now. And I'm like, what? Oh my god! What? Did you sleep? And he's like, a bit. Yeah, I love all these series. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found that interesting. I hope you didn't find my rambles too rambling. I'm going to try and do more videos where I talk about the manga that I actually read, as opposed to just buy manga and haul manga. Not that I'm gonna not do that. I'm just gonna try and condense them into maybe one video instead of like lots of little ones. I haven't decided. Also, I'm gonna probably be maybe cutting back. I don't know. I need to buy some things that aren't manga in the upcoming months. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye!